NFL made some waves last week with their new updated rules for the 2024 season. Many were not happy about the rules, which led to a lot of outcry from fans of all teams. In this video, we will dive into what all the new rules are, what they look like, and how they will affect the upcoming season. So rule number 1, the NFL has decided to outlaw the hip drop tackle. If a player does a hip drop tackle, it will be a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down. The reason for the banning of the hip drop tackle is because there were many injuries from that play to star players such as Mark Andrews, Tyreek Hill, Geno Smith, and others. If you don't know what a hip drop tackle is, it's when a defensive player drags the offensive player who has the ball down to the ground from behind. Rule number 2 is the new kickoff rule. The new kickoff rule consists of how the XFL did theirs back in 2020. The XFL, of course, is now combined with the USFL, which is now called the UFL. To explain, the new kickoff goes as follows. Both teams will line up right next to each other, while the kicker will line up at the opponent's 35 yards line. Both kicking teams will line up with 1 foot from each other on the 40-yard line. Once the kicker kicks the ball off, both kickoff teams cannot move until the returner has the ball and starts to move with it. The kicker cannot cross the 50-yard line until the ball touches the ground in the landing zone or end zone. More on the landing zone in a minute. Players on both sides cannot line up on the restraining line and must only be lined up in the setup zone outside the hash marks. However, unlike the XFL's rules, the returning team can have up to 2 returners. The XFL's kickoff rules only allowed 1 returner. Now more on the landing zone. In this new version of the kickoff, touchbacks are discouraged, and basically with this new rule, the NFL is trying to bring back the kickoff, as less than 10% of kickoffs from last season were actually returned. The landing zone is the area between the receiving team's goal line and the 20-yard line. According to the NFL, here is what the landing zone is. Any kick that is short of the landing zone is treated like kicking it out of bounds, and as a result, the ball is spotted at 40-yard line. The play would be blown dead as soon as the kickoff lands short of the landing zone. Any kick that hits in the landing zone must be returned. Any type of kick that hits in the landing zone and then goes into the end zone must be returned or downed by the receiving team. If the receiving team downs the touchback, they will be set up at the 20-yard line. If the kick hits the end zone, stays inbounds, returned, or downed, the touchback will be set up at the 30-yard line. Any type of kick that goes past the end zone by air or bouncing, it's a touchback that will set up at the returning team's 30-yard line. There are no more fair catches. Fair catch or signals are not allowed. The refs will blow the play dead if need be. For the new onside kickoff, there are some changes as well. The onside setup will be how it has been for the last few years. However, teams can only do an onside kick in the 4th quarter and if they are trailing. They also have to warn the officials they are onside kicking it. The refs will then warn the opposing team their opponent is onside kicking it. So basically, there are no more surprise onside kicks. The NFL trade deadline was also tweaked. The NFL trade dealing is always during Week 8 of the season. However, the NFL decided to delay it 1 week later to Week 9. The NFL is likely doing this according to reports because they want more trade action in the trade market. The last few years, there have not been as much moves made as in years past. According to Yahoo Sports, the change was proposed by the Steelers. You know that both teams get 2 challenges for the game, right? Well, that is not the case anymore. Another rule that went into effect was the coach's 3rd challenge rule. Coaches no longer have to win their both challenges to get a 3rd once. They now only have to win one of their first 2 to be awarded a 3rd challenge. Another rule that went into effect revolves around replay. According to Yahoo Sports, the owners approved that the replay assistant will now be allowed to correct incorrect calls for intentional grounding and roughing the passer. The replay review will be permitted, when there is clear and obvious visual evidence. Another rule they can challenge is when the passer is down by contact or out of bounds before attempting a pass are now reviewable. And last but certainly not least is there will be games played on Christmas despite the holiday landing on Wednesday. The NFL normally does not play games on Wednesday. The only time the NFL has played on Wednesday was during COVID in 2020, when the Thanksgiving game between the Ravens and Steelers got postponed to the following week. However, the NFL announced that there will be 2 games played on the 25th. The matchups will be revealed later. The NFL has now played games on Christmas the last 7 seasons. Christmas is normally a big event for the NBA rather than the NFL. The NFL also announced there will be a regular season game played in South America for the first time. It was revealed that the Eagles will play in Brazil versus the Packers or Browns in Week 1. They also announced that the game will be played in Corinthians Arena on Friday, September 6th. It will be exclusively streamed on Peacock, meaning that you have to have the streaming service to watch the game. The contest will be played right after the Chiefs host the first game on September 5th.